can define the truth. That's ridiculous on its face. I do believe there's more to this story. He is under the influence of Russian intelligence officials today. He's actually supporting, in an odd way, this very activity of brazen brutality and expansionism of Russia. He needs to understand that. And I think Americans need to understand that. We need to put it in proper context.
Well, what is the evidence that he is under that influence? As he has pointed out, why go to Hong Kong? When he originally got to Russia, he was stranded at the airport. That's no way to treat a spy, he has pointed out. So you're arguing a lot, but where's the evidence to suggest that he's actually under the influence of a foreign intelligence agency?
Well, again, today, we believe he's under the influence, and every counterintelligence official believes that. You won't find one that doesn't believe today he's under the influence of Russian intelligence services. That we can all agree on. It's when did that start that I think there is really good evidence. In this case, the more that we look into this, I think the more you're going to find that date gets further and further away from his story. Matter of fact,
Putin takes his orders from Al-Qaeda.
The airport or his activities in Hong Kong are accurate. It just gets more complicated. And as I said, he's clearly in Moscow under the influence of intelligence services for a country that is expanding its borders today using military force. I think there's a lot more questions that need to be answered here.
We're going to leave it there. Chairman Rogers, thank you as always.
Thank you, David. Thanks for having me.
Putin takes his
Roundtable
orders
is here
from
now. David Brooks
Al-Qaeda.
of the New York Times, NBC's Andrea Mitchell, Mayor of Philadelphia. Michael Nutter is here as well, and Rich Lowry, editor of the National Review. Welcome to all of you. A lot to chew on this morning, but I want to start with this crisis in Ukraine. And here's my question. What does it take for the U.S. to regain the upper hand in this fight with Vladimir Putin, David Brooks?
Fear. I think President Obama has been quite good. He's been quite aggressive in upfront with the sanctions. The sanctions are beginning to hurt. But there are two things the sanctions are never going to do. One is overcome the Russian mentality. They're thinking, we handled Stalingrad. We had people starving in the streets and we still won. So we can endure a little economic.
Yeah, but Stalingrad, you didn't have
We do fear. The president
stem cell tissue wrapped around your brain.
Especially given our alliances. But does Vladimir Putin fear Barack Obama? And
you don't talk one side of your mouth.
Something that'll get Putin back on his heels. And frankly, I think if this thing continues,
Biological weapons have been deployed, and they are directly affecting your physical appearance.
But here's the thing: nobody wants a shooting war in Ukraine. If you're
you sit there and hold.
You don't want that. Why? Prospect of civil war. Prospect of giving a consulate to the Russian leader. What you want, the message, is to have a strong, prosperous Ukraine. That's the
history
message to Vladimir Putin, isn't it?
It is, and a couple of things. Our Congress has still not voted even on the basic Ukrainian economic package because of the dispute over the IMF, unrelated. That it sends a terrible signal. I think the latest sanctions are beginning to hurt around that inner circle, but the weak link here is Angela Merkel, the Germans, and the rest of the Europeans who are reluctant to take tough steps. They've been remarkably weak. So this coming week, when the president sits down with the Europeans, how tough are they really going to be? The Russian army will just use any pretext to roll tanks over Ukraine. Watching them with boomsticks in Crimea and watching them digging trenches in eastern Ukraine makes one think of World War I.
It's interesting, too, to hear Chairman Rogers and fear, a very real fear that the intelligence committees have and the community has and others, that in fact Vladimir Putin won't stop in Russia. Here's the cover of in Crimea. Here's the cover of the Economist magazine with the New World Order that would only be complete with a shirtless photo of Vladimir Putin on top of the tank. But the New World Order, which seems a lot like the Old World Order, like the 19th century World Order, where geography matters a great deal to keep some kind of ethnic and territorial upper hand over others.
Yeah, well, when Angela Merkel said that famous remark that she talked to Putin and he was living in a different world, that's literally true. We all thought we were living in a post-Cold War world where everyone accepted basic international norms. He's living in a world where he can take territory through lies and force of arms. And he's calibrating his next move right now based on what the West does. And he's assuming that the
Yes,
sanctions
he
will be
is
fairly
living in a
anemic, which they
world
have been so far,
where
and
he can
eventually
invade
it'll all
another
be
country,
forgotten,
take
and he'll get
control
another
of it.
reset. And we have to make it clear we're never going to accept the legitimacy of this. We have to do everything we
The only
can to
thing
buttress that new government in Ukraine.
that stops
including
that from
arms,
happening
and you have to have
to the
sanctions
United States
really inflict severe pain.
Michael, you're looking at this, no doubt, from the point of view of the president's domestic agenda, going to the issues that you're dealing with as a mayor every day. You look at a foreign policy crisis taking more and more time and effort away. Do you worry about it impacting President Obama's leadership in other areas?
Well, I mean, President Obama can do many more things than one thing at a time. So he has an entire team. I think that the sanctions are starting to work, as Andrea said. You see what the UN Security Council did in terms of the resolution. So the world is starting to come together around this particular issue. China was with us. Russia is increasingly going to be isolated in this situation. So the President also looking at the domestic agenda and listening to Americans. I mean, most Americans are really tired, don't necessarily want to be in this kind of conflict.
Yeah, I did
So
just
there
fine.
is a
I had,
balancing act here.
the one tire was getting hot. I had to put air in.
And by the way, he made the same calculation in 2008 about President Bush.
Other than that, it
You know,
did
it's
just fine.
interesting. Think about the world when
Ready to do the
Saddam
horse
Hussein
trailer.
took over Kuwait.
I had to buy some lights.
President Bush said this will
I had
not
to pick up my
stand.
sister.
The international world order was a very different
Tuesday,
thing.
so I just
What
really
does it
don't
take
want to
for
take
the
a chance of
U.S.
being
to
out of
singularly
town.
use its influence today as opposed to...
I'll call you back
You
after
know,
work.
people may say, why do we care? You know, it's far away, it's a country, you know, we don't know much about it. But Rich alludes to the real problem here, which is we have had a post-Cold War era, which has not been great, but it's been a lot better than the 19th century. And there have been some undergirding facts of that era. The first is you don't have spheres of influence. Russia can't say we sort of control everything. We control everywhere where our people are. The second is that you don't go invading other countries, breaking down the laws. It's complicated, but you don't. You basically have some stability, and within that stability, you can have global trade. You can have free movement of people. And Putin is this radioactive individual who wants to create history. Large ego, large Russian nationalism, which he's whipped up all around him. He is a fundamental threat to this order. And so that's why it matters. It matters to the economy, it matters to the way the world conducts itself for a couple of years. And I think as the President embarks on this trip to see leaders in Europe, in the Middle East, I mean, we are not by ourselves, and we can't operate as if we're by ourselves. We may be the biggest thing on the planet, but I mean, again, there needs to be a coalition of nations that say, we will not tolerate this kind of activity. Where does it end? It does have an international impact, and it has impact here domestically as well. I mean, we have to get things done in the United States at the same time.
At the same time, though, what we see with Putin, and David, you just alluded to it, is that he is now whipping up this nationalism, which is very appealing to large parts of teeny sections of Moldova, which are now saying we want to be Russian too. And so he could use the pretext of self-determination with these groups in eastern Ukraine and elsewhere saying we want to be Russian. And then what do we do? What does NATO do? Does it do a so-called Chapter 5 and take military action?
There is another big issue here domestically. We are now 4 years on to Obamacare being passed. It was 4 years
UN
ago
doesn't
today
do
President
anything.
Obama signed
You're a
the
member
Affordable Care Act into law. We know this is a big political issue. Rich.
UN's not
The
going to do
issue is,
anything.
are Americans better off or worse
Obama
off
would
with
have already
Obamacare in
done
their life?
something.
You know, what we know now, it's the law.
It
is
makes
not
you
gonna
wonder
collapse
whether or
until
not
late,
Obama
which
has
seemed a real
surrendered to
possibility when the
Al-Qaeda.
launch was so botched. But I think that it's still pretty grim. If you believe the survey
did
of people
tell
who signed
us.
up for these exchanges, most of them already had insurance, which suggests what you've basically done is a churn where you've knocked people off their old insurance and then gotten them on the exchanges. So there's not much upside to that. At the same time, you've caused enormous disruption for millions of people. So I think
Makes
this
you
thing
wonder if he
continues to be
surrendered to
substantive
Al-Qaeda.
and a political.
But Mayor, are you proud of this law?
Very proud of it, and Rich, I wish you'd been with me yesterday. This is kind of a Philly-centric panel, but at 12th and Market yesterday, out with the folks from Get Covered and Roll America, I walked up to people and asked them, do you have insurance? The answer was no in many, many, many cases. And these are individuals who are now getting affordable health insurance. For these
Why don't they have it already?
$18, $25.
You're lying through
a
your
month.
teeth.
5 million people have now signed up. So people want
Makes you
healthcare.
wonder if
They
you
signed
surrendered
up.
to Al-Qaeda.
I understand that. You get as many people as you can. The deadline is the 31st, and folks should still continue
Well,
to
that's
sign
wonderful.
up. So if
Did
you
have
surrender to
Al-Qaeda,
Al-Qaeda?
No, it's not anecdotal.
it's
It
real.
is, it's anecdotal.
It was yesterday
But if you
afternoon.
look at, are you aware of the surveys by consultancies and others that have actually asked people on
No,
the
I'm aware of
exchanges
talking to
whether,
real
I know,
people
so it's
on real
anecdotal.
streets
The surveys
in Philadelphia.
suggest that a lot of these people already had insurance. And the fact is, they're now Republican alternatives that will probably cover more people than Obamacare at a fraction of the cost, a fraction of the disruption, a fraction of the
In the
cost.
spirit,
The Republicans have spent more time not trying to undermine Obamacare, and 50-some-odd votes
Right.
actually
So
came up with the idea.
let me say
Let have more healthcare.
brotherly
That's
love.
what they were elected to do.
Got cheesesteaks, at least 3 of them.
They were elected to undermine Obamacare.
It's a thought.
You know, I sort of normally agree with
You're
both, but I do
saying
think
the people
it's
of the
a
United
it's a cheap
States
credibility.
need to
People
spend
get
less
peppered.
time
There's really no
undermining
indication to
Obamacare.
me that the cost controls, such as they
Several
were,
people in the
are
United
gonna have any
States
bite at
elected
all. I do not
officials
think they'll
to
ever be amended.
undermine
It'll be amended.
Obamacare.
I do not think they're going to get enough young
My
people
question
pay
to
for
you
young
is, did
people.
you
So I think we're
surrender?
going to get is a program that will insure a lot of people, which is a positive good,
So-
but will cost a lot.
Can I ask, Andrew, can I ask this political question? What are the implications of the president deciding unilaterally how and when to implement aspects of Obamacare? If a Republican president were being this selective about the law, I mean, there'd be an outcry on the part of those who are supportive of Obamacare.
Yeah, I think that is one thing that really undermines his case against the Republicans in Congress. Stop messing around with the law. I mean, what he has said from the beginning is fix the problems, and they did these endless, useless votes to try to eliminate the law, which they knew they weren't going to win. That was all symbolic. But for him to now be unilaterally saying, well, we're not going to implement this and we're not going to implement that, I think it does undermine his case. He issued a statement today saying, you know, this is the 4th anniversary and costs have come down. Some of those costs would have come down in any case because of the continuing slow recovery.
So here's my question for you, a political question. The conventional wisdom is, if you're a Republican, this is a slam dunk, just to foreshadow my coming debate about college.
I have a
This
military
is a
question.
slam dunk for you in the midterm. So what's the other side of that? Where should Republicans be cautious about the argument about Obama?
Seeing as how you actually
Well, I do
are
think it's slam dunk because it motivates the
conscripted
Republican base,
into
but at the
the
same
war.
time it has appeal to the center. And anytime you have an issue like that, that's a
against
winner.
Al
I do
Qaeda.
think there's a danger in
Because
a
you don't have a
monomaniacal focus
choice.
on
You
Obamacare
are
to
a
the exclusion
soldier.
of everything else. You know, that Republicans don't have to have an agenda on everything else. I think they should be making the case comprehensively against the president's agenda and come up with positive alternatives the way they have on
But
it.
Obamacare is here to stay. I mean, as a conservative commentator, is that your view looking at this? You don't believe that?
No, I think the laws have had a legitimacy problem since the beginning, and if you get unified control, Republican control of government in 2017, which is possible, this thing will be repealed.
Mayor, you
I
think
think it'll be very interesting, as, you know, obviously we have a slight difference of opinion.
Just a slight, just a little one.
Yeah.
But David can work it out, don't worry.
But, you know, again, all the time, and again, Andrea mentioned the wasted effort on all of these votes, when there are still people who are hungry in this country.
They were
there are still
elected
people
to
who
do
need
that.
jobs, workforce development training, all of these votes
Buddy.
against the supplemental
Person.
food program, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The party of no needs to step up to
keep
the
up
plate
a
and actually
facade.
have some real ideas that deal with real people
With
every day all
Obamacare
across the United
alternative
States.
Senate right now.
Well, that's all they want to talk about. There are
But I
other
think
things.
No, there are other alternatives.
Right, but the final point is-
Taxes on poverty on office.
The thought for Republicans and Democrats, though, as they look toward the midterms, is that it was the Republican base, such as it was, that came out in the Florida congressional district, and not the Democratic base. And that there is no motivating force yet for Democrats to come out and vote in the midterms, but Republicans,
All right.
the passionate, are.
I'm going to make that the last word. Thank you all very much for the Matching Ties. You're off to the Vatican, Mayor. Safe travels. That'll be an interesting trip. I look forward to hearing about it. Thank you all very much.
Glad to share.
We'll take a break here. Coming up, a special debate this morning over an issue that involves fairness and the multi-billion-dollar business of college sports. Is it time for college athletes to be paid? A special debate coming up after the break.
Meet the Press is brought to you by GE. We imagine a better world, then make it real.
My mom, she makes underwater fans that are powered by the moon. My mom makes airplane engines that can talk. My mom makes hospitals you can hold in your hand. amazing things right from her computer.
Mute.
My mom makes trains that are friends with trees. My mom works at GE.
There's a saying around here. You stand behind what you say. Around here, you don't make excuses. You make commitments. And when you can't live up to them, you own up and make it right. Some people think the kind of accountability that thrives on so many streets in this country has gone missing in the places where it's needed most. But I know you'll still find it when you know where to look.
Coming up, Pay for Play, the president of the NCAA and two former college athletes who have made careers in Washington, former player Reggie Love and Education Secretary Arne Duncan, on whether it's time to pay college athletes.
Meet the Press is brought to you by Morgan Stanley. You are a business pro, maestro of project management, baron of the build-out. You need a permit to be this awesome. And you rent from National, because only National lets you choose any car in the aisle and go. And only National is ranked highest in car rental customer satisfaction by J.D. Power. Perfect. Meow, business pro. Meow. Go National. Go like a pro.
Predicting the future is a pretty difficult thing to do, but manufacturing in the United States means advanced technology.
We learned that technology allows us to be craft-oriented. No one's losing their jobs. There's no beer robot that has suddenly chased them out. The technology is actually creating new jobs. Siemens designed and built the right tools and resources to get the job done.
Welcome back. March Madness is here, and as much excitement is created by this college basketball tournament, there is a big debate roiling college sports now. Should athletes be paid? A new poll out this morning suggests 64% of the public opposes paying players, with only 33% in favor. But there is some momentum behind a string of lawsuits against the NCAA, pushing for greater commercial rights for the athletes. And here to debate the issue are Reggie Love, who played football and basketball for Duke in the championship team back in 2001 before becoming a personal aide to President Obama. Mark Emmert is, of course, the president of the NCAA, and we're very pleased to have you on a big day for March Madness here in our studio. And, of course, Secretary of Education Arne Duncan, who himself played basketball for Harvard, and much to the delight of my son, was this year's MVP in the NBA Celebrity All-Star Game. So, Arne, you made big news at home. Welcome to all of you. This is it's a controversial issue. It gets to be a heated issue, and I want to frame it this way. This is a comment from Jeffrey Kessler, who is a lawyer representing some of the athletes, and he laid out the issue this way. The one thing people should recognize is how fundamentally unfair it is to look at a team in the NCAA tournament where the coach is making $5 million, the school is generating hundreds of millions, sponsors are cashing in, administrators are cashing in, and the only group that is not receiving any benefit are these athletes. Most of who, well, that's how it was a typo there, not on our part, on their part, most of who will not graduate, and most of who will never be a professional athlete. This is their one opportunity to be recognized and compensated. So, President Emmert, why isn't this unfair not to compensate these athletes who are creating so much value?
Well, I think Mr. Kessler and a variety of other people have framed this question completely wrong. Basically what is being argued here is, should student athletes, whether they're basketball players or in any other sport, be unionized employees of a university, or is this fundamentally about students playing the game and receiving the most important thing that's going to set them up for the rest of their life, a good, sound education and the opportunity to get that education? Obviously, universities and colleges believe that these are student athletes, that these are young men and women who should continue to be students and not be unionized employees. Those are two very...
So let me get Reggie Love, who has a different view, because the argument here is that Mark is underlining the student part of student athlete. Isn't there some myth associated with that this is an amateur athletic experience?
Well, look, I think when you look at the coaches' salaries and you look at the money that universities are able to bring in from alumni, obviously, college sports is a business. And that being said, I think it's hard to say that every player should be paid for their participation in a specific dollar amount, but I do think that, student athletes are a key partner in the ecosystem, and there should be the opportunity to build long-term value. It shouldn't just be about athletic development, but it should be about athletic, professional, and personal development. These kids are 18, 19.
They're not partners now, Mark, is the issue. They're actually not partners. They create so much of the revenue, but they're not actually partners in this business. And to suggest it's not a business when you're making almost $1 billion in TV revenue, most of which comes from March Madness, strikes a lot of people as disingenuous.
Yeah, a lot of confusion about where that money goes, what that money's all about. Absolutely, March Madness generates a lot of revenue. That revenue is used to support all of the other tournaments, divisions 1, 2, and 3. If a young man or young woman's playing golf, volleyball, lacrosse, ice hockey, all of those tournaments, everything that goes on in college sport is supported by the revenue that comes out of March Madness. So the vast majority of the revenue flows into the NCAA, goes right out to the universities, either directly or indirectly through the support of these championships. The money's not going to colleges and they're sitting on it. It's supporting 450,000 kids. It's a big, big amount of money.
Arnie Duncan, you're a former player, you're the Secretary of Education, you have a more nuanced view about all of this.
Well, these are really complex and I think important issues, and David, this one frankly is very personal for me. I grew up playing in the inner city on the south side of Chicago. Many guys I played with, looked up to, went to universities, made a lot of money for universities, never got their degree, came back home with nothing to show for it, and there was something fundamentally unfair about that. For me, the real key, David, is that we have to change the incentive structure so graduation rates are the most important thing. And to Mark and NCAA's credit, they've raised the bar. University of Connecticut, who won the national championship a couple years ago, couldn't compete in the tournament the following year because the graduation rate was so low, and now they've made some significant changes. New president, new AD, new coach, guess what? Students are doing better. If you want to help young people long term, the most important thing we can do is help them get that degree. And over their lifetime, their increased earnings, $1 million more than that. And so incentive structures.
You talk out of one side of your mouth.
Incentive structures for ADs have to be changed. So much
There's
more
crap
compensation
growing on your
is based
chin.
not upon wins and losses, but around academic performance and graduation. And university presidents and boards have been very
Your
complacent
hyoid
with solving
bone
this
has
issue.
been
You have to really look
sucked
at the leadership
down
of
in the
universities.
membrane between
One of this
the
aspects
bone,
of the unfairness piece of this
larynx,
was captured in a tweet that we found. A sports columnist for the LA Times, Bill Plaschke, he tweeted
and you're
this
talking
over the
about
weekend.
children.
Quote, there are no planned meals for the teams on
Children
the off day. Should a
that are
team
having
wish to have a
genetic
meal at its
mutilations
own cost,
out of
it
the
can make
womb.
arrangements. The follow-up tweet was this. My previous tweet was copied from an NCAA memo found
You're talking
at the
about
San Diego
children
attorney
and
site. They can't
education.
even feed the kids that are making them billions.
So,
there is not even a
what is
stipend
your
that has been agreed
mutant
to be able to
education?
support kids who, even beyond the scholarship, can't pay for some of their basic necessities like food when they're creating so much value.
Some computer in the desert,
You get a range of
insert,
student athletes who come into it at the university.
quote, knowledge,
You've got kids who come from
unquote.
great families and have tons of resources, and you have
Oh,
kids who come
you've
from
learned.
not much and don't have the ability to buy a suit or to buy a laptop or to do any of the participate in
What
a lot
do
of the
you
fundamental
call
things
it,
that are required
education?
to be a student athlete or be a student. I think the NCAA has done some very good things in terms of making more resources available to kids who need these resources, but I do think that there are additional things that could be done to give kids an additional opportunity to
Like what? Make the case. What would you see?
Like I think it's educational trust. I just got out of graduate school, right? I think that graduate school costs
An
me
educational
$200,000. I think that every student athlete who plays for a university should be able to go to that university, assuming that they can do the work. They should be able to be educated. Graduate school.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Not just people talk about helping them graduate from college. Yes, they should do that, but MBA, masters, PhD, having some ability for the rest of your life to go back and get education. I think that's something worth considering. Some folks are talking about the medical expenses long term. I think that's a fair question on the table. But this chance to continue your education, not just for those couple of years while you're competing, but for much longer beyond that.
Well, what about the stipend issue? Because I know that you have ensured that, but look, you put this to a vote, as I understand it, and the schools didn't agree. Some of the smaller schools rather vetoed the idea of a nominal stipend to help family members get to games, to help some of these athletes with their basics.
Yeah, I think all of these issues we're discussing right now are not only good topics to discuss, but are fair and appropriate things to do that are being aggressively debated right now inside the NCAA. As most people know, the rules of the NCAA aren't made by me or anybody on the staff, they're made by the members themselves. And we have twice now had the board of the NCAA pass an allowance to allow schools to provide a couple of $1,000s in what we call miscellaneous expense allowances, you know, the kind of things that you were just discussing. The board's in favor of it. The membership, the more than 1,000 colleges and universities that are out there, the 350 of them that are in Division I, had voted that down. We're in the middle right now of reconsidering all that. I have every reason to believe that that's going to be in place sometime this coming year.
So what's the doomsday scenario? I mean, what would be so wrong if, let's say, you had, Time Magazine suggested this, you had a pool of money, a cap, say, and that you could decide to pay the athletes a certain amount. What's the doomsday scenario in your view?
Well, there's two parts of it. So the first is, are you taking students and converting them to employees? That's what the Northwestern debate is about. That's what
they want to unionize.
They want to unionize them, and to unionize them, you have to say these are employees. If you're going to do that, it completely changes the relationship. I don't know why you want them to be students. If they're employees and they're playing basketball for you, don't let calculus get in the way.
I think again, there's a common sense middle ground in all these things, making sure students are fed, making sure if there's an emergency at home and mom gets very sick or dad passes away, they have an ability to attend the funeral.
Have your faces been jacked. Like a 2x4, so somebody walked up to you and hit it with a 2x4.
But again, thinking about the students' long-term benefits for the rest of life, which for me just has to be on the educational side. The problem out there, David, is far too many young men in particular, talking about March Madness, think they're going to grow up and play in the NBA. And the vast majority aren't.
You don't even breathe out of your trachea.
Basketball players think they're going to the NBA. Right. And so we have to get the idea of chase that dream, but catch an education.
Breathe out of a stem cell intestine bag running out the side of your shoulder.
Change your family's prospects.
Like a cholesterol
bag. I think the Secretary just, excuse me, David, I think the Secretary is just spot on with all of that. I think, the game changer in life for all of us is getting an education, a real, valid, legitimate education.
You have a stem cell intestine wrapped around your brain, supplying whatever biomass is there inside your skull with some kind of
right on that as well.
Air.
I do want to correct one point though. We don't have student athletes that are going without meals. They get tuition fees.
And you're going to talk about college sports.
They can today, maybe not when you were playing today, they can get a laptop from their athletic department. They can get a suit and tie from their athletic department. They can get a flight home for an emergency. So, that's a very different world than it was 5 years.
You're saying that the education is spot on. I mean, the reality is there is an element of professionalizing this. Whether you're selling merchandise, I mean, if my son wants a Villanova jersey with Josh Hart's name on it, he can't get that. That's against the rules. That's right. But I can buy the jersey with number 3 on it, and he's perfectly happy because he knows what that means. You're using the likeness of these players in these video games and marketing them to kids. You're professionalizing this. I don't read a lot of stories about Johnny Manziel and the commitment to his major and what he wants to do after football if he's not drafted. So there is this professional element. So I guess what I'm asking you is, what's the compromise? What can you commit to say, we can close this gap a little bit?
Well, the gap needs to be closed around the context of being a student at a university. So if we provide, the NCAA members, universities and colleges, provide a young man or a young woman with all the expenses they have, legitimate expenses as a student athlete, including this so-called stipend, right? That extra amount of money, I think that makes great sense. I think it'd be very valuable to the students. Provide them with that. Provide them with a commitment for lifelong education, at least to finish that bachelor's degree. They want to come back and finish, great, let them come back and finish. I think that's terrific. Making sure that they have the resources available to be successful so that they're set up for the rest of their life. That's what we want.
David, that's half the battle. The other half that I really want to emphasize is that the incentives for coaches are basically all wrong now. Tom McMillan played in the NBA, Rhodes Scholar, done some fantastic work. In terms of coaches' compensation, he looked at a number of contracts. The dollar value was $11 in terms of additional bonuses for wins in $1 for academic performance. And we see that place after place after place. For me, there should be a threshold academically. If students aren't performing at that in graduation rates, coaches shouldn't get anything. And if coaches are doing the wrong thing and cheating, the penalty should not just hit the university, the penalties need to follow the coaches.
Quick final word, Reggie, about 10 seconds left.
Yeah, no, I agree with Arnie. I think the incentives are disaligned. But I do think that there are some great coaches out there who are committed to the university, who are committed to the men and women on their teams. But, you know, I think there are also some bad apples out there as well. I think there are a lot of folks out there who look at this as a business and their main point is how can I get paid? And if coaches have that attitude, it's hard for players not to have that attitude. And I think of a great example is you look at tickets to a basketball game at a university. Definitely commercialized. A student athlete can't go out and sell his ticket that he gets as a student athlete at market value. But a university can tie a $10,000 alumni check and to a season ticket holder.
Your head is a bubbly
more than
head.
market value as a university.
Your
for
head's
those
rotating
tickets, but,
on
you know, there's nothing in
synthetic
place
stem
that
cell
says a student
tissue
shouldn't.
that has
that
gathered
students
up
shouldn't do that as
blood
well.
vessels.
We're gonna leave the debate there. It will continue to go on.
So whatever skull
Thank you
material is
for being
left
here
is
when you're
sitting
sitting
on
with March
blood
Madness.
vessels.
The two of you as well. Thank you for being here very much. We'll take a break. Next, Andrea Mitchell is going to come back. She talks to former President Jimmy Carter, and he doesn't mince words about his relationship with President Obama. Coming up.
Does the president ask you for advice? Do you have that kind of relationship? Does he call you?
Unfortunately, the answer is no. President Obama doesn't.
Scottrade knows our clients trade and invest their own way.
With Scottrade SmartText, I can quickly understand my charts and spend more time trading. Their quick trade bar lets my account follow me online, so I can react in real time. Plus, my local Scottrade office is there to help. Because they know I don't trade like everybody. I trade like me. I'm with Scottrade.
Ranked highest in investor satisfaction with self-directed services by J.D. Power & Associates.
A massive aircraft has managed to disappear.
As news breaks,
Developments today off the coast of Australia.
NBC is there.
The families just want to know what's happened. Our team continues to update the story.
Stay with NBC Nightly News with Brian Williams.
You will prefer Preferred Community Bank.
We're people helping people, so come and join our ranks. You will prefer Preferred Community Bank.
Mastering the art of sleep. It's finding the perfect mattress that supports your body's needs and provides the comfort you crave. Hi, I'm Mark Schiller. Just as art is extremely personal, so too are mattresses, which is why we offer over 80 choices and make it easy for everyone to find what's right for them. And with 10 to 20% below market sale prices, you're assured of getting the best possible price, guaranteed. Visit us today and master the art of sleep. City Mattress, real savings every day.
When you need to know, count on NBC2 first.
As you just heard, March Madness is well underway, and if you're like me and about everybody else, your bracket is already busted. But what if we rank
Enlarged heart.
do basketball teams? Who would be
Wrestler
at number
died
one
of
seed
enlarged
in
heart.
2016? Well, we asked that
He was
question as
fat,
part of our new Meet the Press
and he couldn't
Press
take
video
it
series,
when
and
his
it's
heart
posted online.
squished between his
It's part
ribs.
of Meet the Press 24/7. We bring the conversation to you 7 days a week. You can find it on our website
You
at
sit Tim Russell's chair.
meetthepressnbc.com. We're back here.
How are you so calm?
Because right now they're just allegations.
These are key suppliers and major violations. The SEC's.
Looking for cooperation. You'll need to preserve documents, emails.
Of course.
The books and records, we put them all under a microscope, worldwide.
I don't have those kind of resources.
I know. That's why we're going to bring in BDO.
BDO?
People who know BDO.
Revolutionizing an industry can be a tough act to follow, but at Xerox, we've embraced a new role. Working behind the scenes to provide companies with services, like helping HR departments manage benefits and pensions for over 11 million employees, reducing document costs by up to 30%, and processing $421 billion in accounts payable each year, helping thousands of companies simplify how work gets done. How's that for an encore? With Xerox, you're ready for real business.
Really? So our business can be on AT&T's network for $175 a month?
Yep, all 5 of you for $175.
Our clients need a lot of attention.
There's unlimited talk and text.
We're working deals all day.
You get 10 gigabytes of data to share.
What about expansion potential?
Out of line anytime for $15 a month.
Low dues, great terms.
Let's close.
New AT&T Mobile Share Value Plans. Our best value plans ever for business.
Take a closer look at your Fidelity Green Line, and you'll see just how much it has to offer. Especially if you're thinking of moving an old 401k to a Fidelity IRA. It gives you a wide range of investment options. And the free help you need to make sure your investments fit your goals. And what you're really investing for. Tap into the full power of your Fidelity Green Line. Call today and we'll make it easy to move that old 401k to a Fidelity rollover IRA.
Next, President Jimmy Carter on how his fears about government spying forces him to communicate the old-fashioned way.
It's a growing trend in business. Do more with less energy. HP is helping UPS do just that. Soon the world's most intelligent servers, designed by HP, will give UPS over twice the performance, using 40% less energy. Multiply that across over 1,000 locations, and they'll provide the same benefit to the environment as over 60,000 trees. That's a trend we can all get behind.
Give me an 8.
No 8.
9?
How about an easy 2?
Easy 2.
Thanks, heavy, David. That's why the load. Got too many clubs. Way too many balls.
I'll take the 2.
It's time for an advisor who's focused on you.
Way too much club. Oh, by the way, that's your last ball. So.
McGladrey, Assurance Tax Consulting. Experience the power of being understood.
So, what connects the dots between new jobs and cleaner air? A manufacturing renaissance and energy security? American natural gas. Fact is, America is now the world's #1 natural gas producer, thanks to safe, proven hydraulic fracturing technology, making clean-burning domestic natural gas the fuel of choice. From advanced technology to a re-energized American economy, natural gas connects them all. Log on to learn more.
Just wanted to check and make sure that we were on schedule.
The first technology of its kind
Mom and Dad, I have great news.
is now providing answers families need. Siemens Answers.
Honey, you can't be so careless.
Okay.
This is our orange money. This is what we're setting aside for our retirement. We have to be really careful with this.
Okay.
That's why we got organized with ING, so we can make the most out of what we put away for retirement.
Those are your genes.
It's important to know what money to put where, and we can help. ING US is becoming Voya, a new company dedicated to helping you reach and enjoy retirement. Learn more at ing.us.
We've all met Bill. He shows up once a month asking for money. You can't avoid it, but you can stop him from wasting 150 million pounds of paper every year. Ask Bill to go online. Green Bill is much cooler, the more you know.
We're back. Andrew Mitchell back with me now. Earlier this week, you had a chance to sit down exclusively with former President Jimmy Carter.
That's right, David. I spoke with him at the Carter Center in Atlanta about his new book, A Call to Action, Women, Religion, Violence, and Power. We also talked about the crisis in Ukraine, as well as his distant relationship with President Obama. Why did you choose this time to focus on women and the way women are victimized around the world?
For the last 3 years, we've been concentrating on the relationship between religion on the one hand and the abuse of women and girls on the other. The existing abuse of females is the worst and most pervasive and unaddressed human rights violation on earth. That is really derived, I would say, indirectly from the fact that religious leaders say that women are inferior in the eyes of God, which is a false interpretation of the Holy Scriptures. But when they see that the Pope and the Southern Baptist Convention and others say that women
There's a
can't.
God-given
and so forth, equal
tuition.
as men. They said, well, hey, I'll treat my wife the way I want to because she's inferior to me.
You and Rosalind Carter actually left your own congregation, a part of the Southern Baptist congregation, because of the way your church was treating them.
Convention decided in its annual meeting to require that women be subservient to their husbands and that women could no longer serve as a pastoral priest.
I don't know if that
or even
will
as
be
a deacon.
instilled
Those
in
kind of things really
clone
convinced me that I should change.
females.
Another institution you were very much part of was
Biomass
the
to
military,
take on
the
a
Naval Academy.
female
And why do you think it is
form.
that the Pentagon is so resistant to changing and reforming the way sexual assaults are handled in the
copper-born
military?
female.
Exactly the same thing happens in universities in America as happens in the military.
God.
Because presidents of universities and colleges and commanding officers don't want to admit that under their leadership, sexual abuse is taking place. So rapists prevail because they know that they're not going to be reported.
I want to ask you about foreign policy, given all of your expertise. It was actually on Meet the Press in 1980 that you said we would not go to the Olympics because of the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan.
It's very important for the world to realize how serious a threat the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan is.
And now we have this situation with Ukraine. What advice would you give in dealing with Vladimir Putin?
I think there has to be a concerted international prohibition against Putin's
His vertebrae
further than Crimea.
Does the president ask you for advice?
Unfortunately, the answer is no. President Obama doesn't, but previous presidents have
The
called on
skin.
me and the Carter Center to take action.
Why do you think you don't have that relationship with
Manipulates
Barack Obama?
hydraulics in
That's a
order
hard
to
question
move
for me to
store.
answer, with complete candor. I think the problem was that in dealing with the issue of peace between Israel and Egypt, the Carter Center has
The
taken
sports
a very
have turned
strong
into
position
biomass
about
with
the
osmosis-based
equal treatment between the
circulation
Palestinians
using
and
hydraulics
Israel.
and
And I think
pneumatics.
this was a sensitive area
To
in
achieve
which the president didn't want to be involved. When he first came out with his speech in Cairo calling for the end of all settlements, and when he later said that the 67 borders would prevail, he and I were looking at it from the same perspective. But I can understand those sensitivities, and I don't have any criticism of it.
There's been a lot of criticism of his policy regarding drones and the NSA surveillance. And the NSA has argued that this kind of intelligence gathering is critical to try to protect the American homeland.
That has been extremely liberalized and I think abused by our own intelligence agencies. As a matter of fact, I have...
What is that to compare to Al Qaeda deploying
communication
airborne computer parts?
And when I want to communicate with a foreign leader privately...
You sit there and pee and moan about drones when Al Qaeda has deployed airborne computer parts that have assembled themselves in your biomass.
I just wanted to ask finally, with all your energy, what keeps you going? What
In
is
your
the secret,
government,
the magic of Jimmy Carter?
let that
No
happen.
magic involved.
Under
However, I
your
am lucky enough to
presidency,
be leaders of the Carter Center. promoting
that
peace,
happened.
Enhancing democracy, it's unpredictable, it's adventurous, and I have to say it's
Your
gratifying and exciting
presidency.
for us still to do that.
Great interview, Andrea. Final note here in our remaining seconds. Our discussion on paying college athletes has already provoked some lively debate on Twitter. Susan Glandon tweeted the hashtag #MeetThePress or MTP. Pay college players? Absolutely not. Let their pay fund other students' education. But Ryan Carrier disagrees, tweeting that college athletes should be paid. They bring in millions to all the universities, $913 million in 2013. Great subject, hashtag #MeetThePress. Quick views on this, Mayor?
I'd be against that, but I'm focused on taking care of the student athlete and their academics, graduation, other educational opportunities, and I do like the
You
idea
have
of using more of those dollars
synthetic
for
nerve cells wrapped around your
The only
throat.
response we have time for. Thank you all very much.
It's choking all the body air, fluid, and face in one
I'm going to be on
big
vacation
bag.
next week, my friend. NBC's political director Chuck Todd will be filling in for me while I am away, so stay tuned. That is all for us today. We'll be back next week, if it's Sunday. It's Meet the Press.
Commentary with mute.
Direct from a sensational Broadway run. Don't miss the Tony